Yes, so I think the last time I was on the show, we were discussing the outlook for the Indonesian banking sector. Fitch had maintained the negative outlook on the sector for 2020. So I think the news on COVID-19 now just reinforces that action that we had taken. So we expect weaker economic growth to feed through to lower credit growth for the banks. Pressure on asset quality. So I think that call in terms of the sector outlook is now reinforced in our minds. Perhaps in terms of some of the expectations at that time, we now need to revisit, particularly in terms of loan growth. So I think that is likely to disappoint versus both our projection at the time, which was around 10% for the industry, and perhaps a little bit higher for the large banks. But now I think we will need to revisit that once we get a sense of the scale of the problem for Indonesia.
Yeah, you happen to be in Fitch Ratings Indonesia, but globally speaking, this kind of revisiting again, the number that we had projected before also happened in a very conservative way, or we are quite moderate in this kind of revisiting the projection and the target?
Sure.
Indonesia.
Yeah, so I think in terms of the ratings that we have on the banks, with the current situation, we don't expect any negative or many downgrades to the ratings. And the reason for that is most of the ratings are based on support. So either from the sovereign or from higher rated institutional shareholders, either domestically or in many cases abroad. And those that are based on their viability ratings, which for Fitch means the standalone credit profile, for many of those, they have healthy buffers in terms of profitability, so the earnings and the capitalization. So as we know, banks in Indonesia benefit from quite thick NIMs, which feeds through to their good returns. And then capital, again, is a rating strength. So in comparison to many banks across the region, capital levels and earnings are higher than at peers. So that provides an element of cushion for them in terms of their ratings. But that said, that's based on the current environment and the current situation with COVID-19. If that was to escalate significantly, then we would need to reassess. So I think the banks themselves will be announcing their first quarter results perhaps next month, by the end of April. We will see by then, I guess, we'll have a better, clearer picture in terms of what the likely impact will be.
Yeah.